What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Team Member Perspective Podcast Show. I'm your host, Coulter, and in today's episode, I want to talk about weekly planning. I just got off the phone with an agent, which, by the way, I wish I would have recorded. There was so much value in our conversation, but I just got off the phone with him, and we were talking about weekly planning. He saw one of my posts on social media. For those of you that follow me, I've been posting every single Sunday, just kind of a picture of my weekly planning session that I do. Well, he responded to my story and he said, look, I'm interested. I want to know what you do. I want to know your strategy. We jumped on a call today and it was awesome. A lot of value. And so I'm going to do my best to recount our conversation and kind of walk you through what I do in my weekly planning session. So let's just start there. My weekly planning session. I like to do it on Sundays. I've tried to do it on Mondays before, but I definitely prefer Sundays because what I like about doing it on Sundays is when I show up on Monday morning, I'm excited, I'm ready to go, and I can actually spend more time doing the doing instead of thinking about the doing, right? Because I've done all those preparations on Sunday, whereas sometimes, I've tried to do it on Mondays. I show up and I find that I'm not wasting, but kind of wasting time and energy doing that planning session, that I end up kind of doing a little bit more of analysis paralysis instead of just actually doing, right? I do more thinking of the doing instead of doing the doing, and it takes a lot of energy, right? And I'll share a few different benefits that I have experienced and I experienced because of doing it on Sundays, but again, I do it on Sundays. Now, honestly, guys, I would say start weekly planning if you haven't already. My hope is that after this episode, you want to start it, right? That's my goal, but make it your own, right? The way I do it works for me, and it's honestly evolved a lot. I was first introduced to weekly planning when I was a missionary, and we planned every single week for 2 years. For a week, we'd do weekly planning, and then we plan every single day for the following day. I had that for 2 years. That plan is different than my weekly planning session now, which is different than the weekly planning session that I had when, I was doing other things, okay? And so it's slowly evolved and it's changed. But I want to take you through what I do. Okay, and it's really, really simple. I spend the first part of my weekly planning session thinking and evaluating last week. I will look back over the last week and I will just evaluate. I'll evaluate what worked. Like, what were the wins? What did I accomplish last week? What were the bottlenecks? What were things that I was running into as a sales team member, right? Or as a team member, if you're trying to sell more, look at prospecting. Look at your finding efforts over last week. How effective were they? Did you follow through with finding efforts? How effective were your conversations? Were they compelling? Was your delivery clear? Evaluate how effective your conversations and your pivoting and, your sales presentations were last week. Evaluate your activity. Did you have enough conversations? Did you quote enough new households? I also like to evaluate my mindset. Last week, Coulter, how was your mindset? Was it positive? Was it more negative? Were you focused on possibility or more problem? Right? Evaluate what state you were in last week and how your mindset was. Because guys, it's an emotional roller coaster. There are some weeks when my mindset from the week before was honestly poor. We're going to have those weeks, but this weekly planning also kind of allows you to do a reset, right? So how was your attitude last week? Did you show up to work with a positive attitude? When you get a customer that's angry with you on the phone, did that, maybe that bad 5 minutes of your day, did you milk it for the rest of the day? Evaluate last week. And what's going to happen is when you do that, you're doing a little bit of a self-accountability. And I like to pull up the previous weekly plan during that first portion when I'm evaluating last week and just kind of see, how did I do? Hold myself accountable to what I said I was going to do that week. So the first part is last week. The second part is next week or this week, right? You're planning for the upcoming week. And for me, I do this on Sunday. So I'm planning for Monday through Saturday. The first part of planning for this week or next week for me has turned into just a brain dump where I will get all of the ideas out of my head and on paper. Different prospecting ideas, different lists that I want to run. If I want to go and talk with different centers of influence or different training that I might need to be focusing on because of what I identified from last week. Different customers that I want to follow up with, different prospects, all of those areas. I want to get everything out of my mind and onto paper. So I do that, I brain dump, right? And then after that, what I will do is that becomes my weekly plan. And I reference to that weekly plan every single day. As a team member gets closer to 5 o'clock, I reference to that weekly plan and I do a little planning session for the following day. That way I can make sure that I'm actually accomplishing and doing the things that I set out to do for the week. So that is one piece that I think makes weekly planning effective, is you've got to take it further down and actually make it into daily plans. And so guys, that's it. Evaluate last week, brain dump, and plan for everything you want to accomplish this week. Now, here's what it's been able to do for me, and here's why I'm such a big advocate of weekly planning. The first reason is this: it allows you to get organized. For me, mess creates stress, and I want to accomplish big things. I want to do big things. Honestly, I hold myself to a high standard. So for me, when I'm messy up top and I feel like my mind is just jumbled full of everything that I want to accomplish and all of these feelings, organization is huge. Okay, it helps me deal with those feelings of anxiety, but it helps me to just feel like I actually have a way to accomplish what I want to accomplish. So the organization is huge. After I can get that organized, the second reason why I like it is because then I can prioritize. I've got everything, all of the ideas, everything in my mind now on this piece of paper. Now I can start to prioritize what are the most important things that I need to do this week, all the way down to what's least. And in the daily reference to this weekly plan to plan for the following day, again, that's where the prioritization makes it in. Is you're going to see, okay, this is what I accomplished today. I didn't do this thing, and those are probably the most important things. Those are my non-negotiables for tomorrow. Then you can prioritize, make sure that you're working on the right things. Okay, and I talk about this a lot, but top producers, do they have more time in the day, right? No, they don't. Like, what sets them apart? Well, a big thing that sets them apart is they're working on different things, right? They're doing things differently. So this weekly planning kind of allows you to start to strategize and conceptualize a little bit. I touched on this, but getting organized and doing a weekly planning helps me to be less anxious, because I know I have some sort of direction that if I can just do these things, I'm going to be that much closer to my goal. Where before I was doing weekly planning, or the days or the weeks that I haven't done it, I'm messy, right? I don't feel like I have direction. I don't feel like I have real strategy. And so then it's like, I've got all this stuff that I need to do, but this is what I want to accomplish. You start to feel anxious. And so doing this and being organized has allowed me to feel less anxious. It also helps me to, when Monday rolls around, to actually spend more time and energy doing, instead of spending time and energy thinking about doing. I mentioned this, I believe, but I'll say it again. I've tried to do weekly planning on Mondays for me, but I don't like it, because I found that just the way that I'm wired, when I do it on Mondays, I start to get anxious because I feel like I'm wasting time, crucial time out of my day planning and thinking about doing instead of the doing itself. And so it wasn't really effective for me. That's why I like Mondays or Sundays to do it. So then when Monday morning hits, I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do. I already know what I'm going to do, so I can just hit the ground running Monday morning and spend more time and energy. I think energy is a big piece to this. Just doing, right? So then there's less time for me to think about not doing it and give myself an easy out. And I would take that down to the daily level too. The end of Monday, I'm going to do a little planning session for tomorrow, and I'll look at my weekly plan and see, okay, this is what I need to accomplish. This is what I want to accomplish, so that I have intention going into Tuesday. So that when Tuesday morning hits, I can spend more time and energy doing, instead of time and energy thinking about doing. And one of the last things that I feel like weekly planning has allowed me to do is just get excited for Mondays. Get excited for the next day. Anticipate the next day. Anticipate the next week. For me, I've always seemed to have a bad case of the Sunday blues. Sunday afternoon rolls around and I just get in my head. I'm not looking forward to Monday. In fact, I'm dreading it. Weekly planning, taking time out of my day on Sunday to just plan for the next week, helps with those feelings. And instead of me feeling like I'm dreading Monday, I'm actually looking forward to it, because I have a plan of attack. I have direction. to actually go and make things happen and get closer to my goals. One of the last things I want to bring up here in regards to planning and why I feel like it's so important is just working on the right things, working on the things that are going to get you the most output. Because again, top producing team members, top producing agencies, they don't have more time than you. They're just doing things differently. They're working on different things. The Eisenhower Matrix, go look it up. I love it. It helps me conceptualize what to work on and when to work on it. And maybe if there's certain things that just aren't worth working on. And so there's 4 quadrants in this Eisenhower Matrix. There's a top left quadrant, which these are things that are important to you and they are urgent. Okay? These are things that you are going to want to do now. Do it now. They're urgent and they're important. Those are easy things to do if we think about it, because we need to get them done quickly and they're important to get done. So those usually make it to the top of our priority list. The box to the right of it is things that are important, but they're not necessarily urgent. Okay, these are things that you can schedule. We need to get them done because they're important, but there's not a lot of urgency to get them done. Okay, so we can schedule these things. These things, these things are easy to put off. And a lot of the times on our phone call today with this agent, we were talking about how those things that are important but not necessarily urgent, a lot of the times the things that are going to move the lever for you the most in your business or in your production are these things. They're things that aren't necessarily urgent, but they are still important, but they're just so easy to put off and schedule. But a lot of the things that will change your agency, that will change your production as a team member, lie in this quadrant. For example, the agent I was talking with today, he was like, look, I've been wanting to meet with this apartment complex to, hopefully build a relationship there to where they can just send renters insurance referrals. He's like, it's been so easy for me to put that off. But instead, the internet leads are the stuff that are more important right now. The things that are urgent and important, right? They are important, they're urgent. But if we look at it like what could make the biggest potential impact in this agency, are they the internet leads or are they this relationship with this, apartment complex that who knows, they could get thousands of referrals from them. That's what I mean. That's the quadrant that a lot of the biggest lever movers lie. Weekly planning helps you to identify those things and actually get them done. And then the other quadrants I won't talk about, but there's one that's urgent and not important. You should delegate those things. And one that's not urgent and not important, and you should just eliminate or completely delete those things. So look up the Eisenhower Matrix. I think it's a powerful way to kind of think through and prioritize what you need to work on to get the results that you want to get. But I thought that was interesting. The things that are going to have the most leverage, that are going to do the most for us and help get our production or our agency to a whole new level are the things that are important, but not necessarily urgent. Interesting stuff. All right, guys, I hope that you have taken away something from this podcast. And, again, thank you for taking time out of your day to listen in. My hope is that you get some sort of value, something today that you can implement what you do. Write more policies, which you're going to make more money. Agency's going to hit its goals. Agent's going to be happy. But you can spread your impact of those around you. And weekly planning, it's big. It's allowed me to simply be in control of my life, live life by design, not by default. And I love that phrase. Jeff Mendez, if you don't know him, go look him up. He's incredible. Been in the door-to-door space for a while, but now is having a lot of success with his other ventures. He runs an event. He calls it the Live Life by Design. He has a brand, Live Life by Design. But I love that concept that, it's up to you. You're either going to live life by design or you are going to live it by default. And one way to take control of your life and live it by design is to set aside time every single week and plan for your week. Weekly planning is huge. It's helped me tremendously, and I know it can help you in the same way. Appreciate you guys, and we will catch you in the next episode.